Only the weak feel the need to explain themselves. It sounds ruthless, arrogant, inhuman, like something said by a man who values power over principle. And in many ways it was. Because this idea wasn't born from kindness. It came from Machiavelli, the father of modern power strategy. A man who studied the way kingdoms rose and fell, and came to one conclusion: defense is defeat. We live in a world obsessed with being understood. We rush to explain ourselves, to clarify our intentions, to correct the record. But Machiavelli saw the trap centuries ago. The moment you explain, you admit the other side has the right to question you, and in that moment, they win. This wasn't some cold political theory, it was war strategy for everyday life, because while most people think power comes from being liked or proven right, Machiavelli knew the truth. Power belongs to those who are feared, respected, and above all, unshakable. This video is not about being cruel, it's about being unreadable. It's about the silent psychological war happening every time someone throws a jab at you, questions your worth, undermines your name, tests your composure. It's about why Machiavellian men, the ones who never explain, never justify, never flinch, are the ones who walk away with control. So if you've ever walked into a room and felt attacked, if you've ever been forced to defend your tone, your confidence, your success, your truth, and walked away feeling smaller, not stronger, then this video's for you. Because Machiavelli didn't write about kings for fun. He wrote to show men like you how to take back control, not by arguing harder, but by learning the quietest, most dangerous weapon of all: silence. Section 2, the trap of defending yourself. In the eyes of Niccolo Machiavelli, power is never about being right. It's about appearing untouchable. The moment you begin defending yourself, you fall into a carefully disguised trap. You abandon your position as the one who sets the frame, and instead, you step into the frame someone else has created for you. That is the beginning of your fall. It doesn't matter whether you're guilty or innocent. What matters is perception. And defending yourself shifts perception from strength to insecurity. The need to explain, to justify, or to emotionally react sends a silent signal. I care what you think of me. And that admission alone makes you vulnerable. Because now you're not leading the story, you're reacting to it. And Machiavelli taught that power lies with the one who shapes the narrative, not the one scrambling to fix it. As soon as you open your mouth in defense, you're no longer a figure of mystery or strength. You're exposed. Worse, you've given your enemies validation. If you're explaining, it must mean there's something to explain. You've handed them your sword. Machiavellian power is rooted in perception, and perception is manipulated through control, not of others, but of yourself. Silence, calm, and detachment are not passive, they are aggressive moves. In silence, you create space for others to project their fears, insecurities, and assumptions onto you. And the human mind, when given blanks to fill, rarely fills them with mediocrity. People assume the silent man knows more, sees more, and plans more than he lets on. In this way, silence becomes a weapon, sharp, deliberate, and far more dangerous than any defense you could offer. Furthermore, emotional defense, pleading, getting agitated, raising your voice, only reveals how much control you've lost. The Machiavellian man understands that he must never appear desperate, even when under attack. Dignified restraint is the posture of kings. To appear unbothered while others try to provoke you is to dominate without striking. And when those who attack you get no rise, no rebuttal, no reaction, they begin to doubt their own position. They look petty, you look composed. Ultimately, defending yourself is an act of submission disguised as strength, but true strength is not loud, it is not defensive, It doesn't scream to be seen, it assumes its presence is already felt. To maintain power, you must not play the game your enemy sets up. You must refuse the invitation to defend. Instead, you force them to carry the burden of accusation alone, while you remain still, unreadable, and therefore untouchable. This is the Machiavellian truth. Silence isn't avoidance, it's dominance in disguise. And when you master that, you no longer chase power, you become it. Section 3. Mastering the power of stillness and silence. Niccolo Machiavelli famously observed, "It is much safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Within this stark truth lies a profound insight into the nature of power and control, one that elevates silence from mere absence of speech into a formidable instrument of dominance. In today's world, saturated with noise, endless debates, and compulsive justifications, silence becomes a rare and deeply unsettling force. It is not passivity or weakness, but the ultimate expression of control. Where most men instinctively rush to react, defending their pride, explaining their position, or striking back in anger, the Machiavellian knows that true power lies in measured restraint and quiet calculation. This form of silence is not born from fear or confusion, but from deliberate strategic dominance. The Machiavellian does not flinch in the face of provocation, nor does he waste energy attempting to justify or explain himself. Instead, he watches, absorbing every detail, weighing each word, and holding his own ground with calm resolve. A subtle, raised eyebrow, a patient pause, or a quietly uttered phrase such as, "If that's what you believe," are not signs of submission, but weapons of psychological warfare. Machiavelli understood that confrontation feeds on friction. Like a fire fueled by oxygen, resistance only strengthens the blaze. By removing that resistance entirely, by refusing to engage on the expected battlefield, you suffocate the conflict. The fire, deprived of fuel, inevitably burns out. Machiavelli's teachings on rulership often emphasize the necessity of wearing a mask, appearing calm, indifferent, or even passive, while silently orchestrating strategy beneath the surface. This concept extends powerfully into the realm of silence. Stillness becomes a message, a declaration that you are unshaken, unbreakable, and untouchable. While others rage, sputter, and reveal their vulnerabilities, you stand as the immovable center, the calm eye in the swirling storm. This posture of emotional invulnerability unsettles opponents because it denies them the expected reaction they crave. Their raised voices and harsh words are meant to provoke chaos, but your silence transforms their aggression into self-destruction. This is emotional judo, the art of redirecting force rather than meeting it head-on, allowing their own energy to consume them. Silence, when wielded with purpose, creates discomfort in others. This discomfort is a form of power because it forces them to confront uncertainty. They begin to question your inner state. Are you angry or amused? Are you plotting a response or indifferent? This ambiguity plants a seed of doubt and hesitation in their minds. Uncertainty breeds caution, and caution breeds control. You cultivate an aura, an invisible force field of mystery and unspoken authority that suggests you are engaged in a deeper, more complex game, one that they cannot see or predict. This aura makes others tread carefully around you, amplifying your influence without a single word spoken. Machiavelli knew that power is fundamentally about perception. If you appear calm, confident, and unaffected no matter the provocation, others will instinctively assume you possess superior strength and intelligence. Even in silence, you communicate dominance, and silence itself becomes your loudest statement. In boardrooms, social encounters, and intimate relationships alike, those who master the art of stillness wield invisible weapons. They control the tempo of interaction, unsettle their opponents by refusing to play the expected role, and force others to fill the uncomfortable gaps with their own insecurities, or over-explanations. This subtle manipulation often leads adversaries to expose their weaknesses voluntarily. Therefore, when next confronted with insult, challenge, or baiting, resist the urge to engage on the accuser's terms. Do not rise to their provocation, do not rush to explain or defend, and most importantly, do not reveal any crack in your composure. Instead, embody stillness and silence. Let their words and fury bounce off your calm exterior, fading into emptiness. Through this disciplined silence, you assert the highest form of Machiavellian mastery, ruling not with the clamor of words, but with the undeniable weight and presence of your silence. Section 4, the final evolution from defense to definition. At the pinnacle of power lies a profound transformation, a stage where the instinct to defend yourself fades completely, replaced by an unshakable confidence in defining your own identity and narrative. This evolution is not simply about withholding explanations or retreating into silence. It is about mastering the very nature of reputation and influence in a way that aligns deeply with Machiavelli's timeless insights on power and leadership. Machiavelli taught that rulers who seek the love or approval of the masses inevitably find themselves vulnerable, at the mercy of shifting public opinion and fickle emotions. The good reputation, one that relies on praise and acceptance, is inherently unstable because it depends on others' perceptions and their willingness to grant favor. Such a reputation is like a fragile vessel, easily shattered by criticism or misstep. In contrast, a strong reputation is forged through strategic ambiguity, deliberate restraint, and an almost ruthless indifference to external validation. It does not seek approval, it commands respect through its very unpredictability and perceived depth. True Machiavellian power arises from creating uncertainty, making others question who you really are, what you intend, and what you might do next. When people cannot easily categorize you or anticipate your actions, they lose control over you. This loss of control is unsettling for many, and it forces them into a position of heightened vigilance. They study your every move, project their fears onto your silence, and often imagine a strength and intelligence far beyond what you reveal. This enigma becomes your greatest weapon because it forces your opponents to expend energy trying to decode you, distracting them from mounting effective opposition. The man who constantly defends or explains himself reveals a fatal weakness. He is seeking permission to exist within someone else's framework. He implicitly acknowledges the authority of others to judge him and shape his identity. This submission saps power because it places you perpetually on the defensive, reacting to external narratives rather than controlling them. The Machiavellian, however, rejects this paradigm entirely. He does not plead to be understood or accepted. He commands the space he occupies and defines his own story on his own terms. Explaining yourself becomes unnecessary because you move beyond the need for validation. You understand that what others think of you is largely irrelevant unless it serves your greater strategy. Moreover, Machiavelli recognized that reputation is a tool to be wielded like a weapon. It is not a straightforward reflection of truth, but a construct to be shaped and exploited. Sometimes it is better to allow falsehoods, rumors, or misconceptions to circulate if they inspire fear, distance, or awe. These perceptions act as armor, shielding your true intentions and giving you psychological leverage over others. A reputation shrouded in mystery is more valuable than one stripped bare by constant justification. This deliberate ambiguity keeps your opponents guessing and off balance. Being liked is a weakness in the ruthless arena of power. It breeds complacency, invites challenge, and limits your freedom. Being believed in, even feared, is far more potent. People tend to believe in what confounds them, what they cannot neatly explain or control. The refusal to explain yourself sends a powerful message. You answer to no one. You refuse to defend because you do not concede, that you must justify your existence or decisions to anyone. In this stance, you shift from being a participant in the court of public opinion to its master. Your silence is not absence, it is presence, an assertion of authority that disrupts and dominates. This final evolution is the essence of Machiavellian strategy. It embodies the highest form of sovereignty, where you transcend the petty need to defend or explain and instead project a presence so commanding that your very existence defines the terms of engagement. This is where power becomes effortless because it is rooted not in reaction, but in deliberate creation. You no longer live to respond to the world's judgments. You live to define the world's perceptions. In essence, you become a force of nature, unpredictable, inscrutable, and utterly autonomous. You embody the principle that to rule is not to be constantly justified, but to be unquestioned. This transformation is not merely tactical, it is philosophical. It reflects a deep understanding of human nature, social dynamics, and the psychological machinery that underpins influence. To walk the Machiavellian path is to embrace this final evolution. You do not explain, you do not defend, and you do not seek approval. Instead, you define. You create your own legend through silence, presence, and strategic ambiguity. You command the respect and fear that power demands, and in doing so, you become untouchable. This is not arrogance, it is mastery. This is the path from defense to definition, the true mark of a leader who understands the art of power in its purest form.